Adventures.
Hey guys, it's Chuke here with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures, back for another Friday bear attack story. I really appreciate all the emails and messages on my website I get. So I have a really interesting story for you today, and it has to do with an AR-15 style rifle, even though some of them aren't even true AR-15s. I have here my B&T APC 223 Pro. It is a pistol. I have a white camo on it right now, or just white rattle can, but really happy with this. Just got a can for it. So I'm going to be doing my tactical training with this, but people will scoff at the 223 caliber for bear protection against large predators when it actually does pretty well. Now, I'm not going to lie, I would prefer a 308, a 300 Win Mag to that, but in this article it does talk about there is more kinetic energy, there's more stopping power in a 223 rifle than a 44 Magnum, which everyone agrees around here, at least, that 44 Magnum has been really great against bears if you have to use it. Now, a few years ago, I want to say it was 6 years ago, there's this horrible outdoor writer for the Anchorage Daily News. He tried to lift himself up of, oh yeah, I'm an outdoorsman, I'm a 2A advocate, I support rifles, and really he doesn't, because there was this big political thing against ARs at that time, and he told this big story how, you know, he's a real whatever, he's hunted a lot more than I have for decades, and he sheep hunts, and he is whatever, a professional outdoorsman. But he did this horrible liberal piece where he talked about, I brought this AR-15 out when they first came out, in the 80s, and I brought it out into the the wilds of Alaska, and yeah, it was fun, and you could plink with it, but it is not good for any outdoorsman. There's no need to have it. And it was just this big anti-2A, anti-gun rant that he did. He tried to hide it in, his status as an outdoorsman, but there were several key sentences he used where he stated, yeah, nobody needs one of these for the wild. And that could not be farther from the truth. If he was a true Alaskan outdoorsman that had spent time in rural areas, villages, and this is something I've talked about for years, that are many villagers, they live in a place where gasoline is $10 a gallon of milk is $10, everything $10. It's very expensive to live there. They rely on subsistence for much of their protein. Shipping is just horrible, and now it's even gone up with inflation. And so a lot of guys will get an old SKS, an AK-47, an AR-15, and they will get bulk ball ammo. That's right, not even hunting ammo, ball ammo, and they will get that freighted to the village or the rural community they live in, and they will kill everything from large bears to walrus. I worked with a guy, and he told me how he dispatched a walrus that was at least 1,000 pounds with his AK, and I loved the story. He was just smiling while he said it, and that's his hunting rifle for his village. So that guy knows nothing about that, and it's been a big argument online. I remember once years ago, I was on one of these outdoor Alaskan forums, and everybody was knocking on this guy. Oh, he said he killed a brown bear with his AR-15, 223 round, 5.56 by 45. And everybody was like, oh no, that's a horrible choice. That didn't happen. You're a liar. And so he showed the skinned out skull of this massive, it was a Boone and Crockett skull, and it had a hole in the forehead about that big. I mean, there's just a lot of pressure, a lot of kinetic energy, foot-pounds of energy. Even though it's a little small for my taste, it can get the job done. So that being said, let's get into the story. Now, this is by Dean Weingarten on ammoland.com. Many of you remember him for the database he did on pistol calibers for bear attacks, and his story, in contrast to what the liberals were saying on media, is that actually they have a high rate of deterring attacks and even stopping bear attacks. And you could check it out on ammoland.com. He's got this giant database, goes through every caliber, and every time, no doubt, having a handgun is better than bear spray or not having a handgun, because typically it was effective in stopping the attack. sometimes dispatching the bear. So shout out to Bad Element Labs on Instagram. He's my buddy that he does these custom AK mags and he puts windows in them, and it's pretty amazing. So he's back to doing stuff like that. I traded my AK away, but I'm going to get another one just to get a mag from him. So this happened in 2008, and from ammoland.com, Dean Weingarten, it's titled AR-15 used to defend against charging polar bear, not a brown bear, a polar bear in 2008. Now, as we all know, polar bear is the apex predator of North America. They get significantly larger than brown bears and grizzly bears, and they are one of the only animals, even though brown bears and black bears, and they'll go after people when they're hungry, these animals go after anything they see. They know they're top of the food chain. If they see a human when you're in their territory, they will go and try to eat you. There's no question that's what they do. They're one of the few animals in North America that every time they see a human, they will check them out and see if it's possible to eat them. So I don't know, maybe cougars do that too. But so Zeb Kadzow and Paul Herbert are experienced hunters who live north of the Arctic Circle in Fort Yukon, Alaska. In late March of 2008, residents of Fort Yukon, Alaska became concerned because a bear was not exhibiting any fear of humans near the town. Peter John originally saw the bear eating lynx carcasses near a cabin on the edge of town. Now, people did not believe this bear was a polar bear because typically they do not go this far inland. It's pretty rare. They thought it might have been a brown bear with, frost on it or something. So they dispatched these two guys, the village did, the town did, like, hey, you need to take out this bear. It's, we can't have a bear in town limits on the edge of town like that. So the hunters who depended on their lives, on their rifles, did not carry .357 Magnum or a 30-06 model Winchester Model 70s. They carried AR-15s. It's pretty interesting. That was what they chose. So many hunters who depend on rifles for survival in the far north carry high velocity, small caliber rifles. That's what I was saying about, because it's economical and they work. They can carry much more ammunition, 30-round magazine. They are easy to shoot and are flat shooting. They offer excellent accuracy. The magazine capacity is a plus. The two experienced hunters were tracking on the large bear that showed no fear of people, chose the AR-15 in 223. So there's usually grizzly around this time of year, he said. You want to get rid of it because it's hungry. The men tracked the bear 3 miles out of town to the Porcupine River. I've been there, great area, where it moved onto a river island. At that point, most of the hunters returned to Fort Yukon for a sled dog race, leaving these two guys by themselves to continue the hunt. So they assumed they were chasing a grizzly bear, thinking the white description was an albino bear or a grizzly covered in frost, like I said. So Herbert waited on one end of the island, and Kadzow on foot went into the brush tracking the bear. Now that is terrifying. I'm sure he had the rifle out, because when you know there's a bear that is dangerous close by, going through thick brush is terrifying, because they typically will sense you, try to get downwind of you, circle around and charge at you from the side at about 35 miles an hour. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. So suddenly the bear came out from under a brush pile 10 yards away. It charged straight at Kadzow, who was carrying the AR-15. And this is where National Geographic got it all wrong. So they featured it, and they even had a video of it, and they said, oh, it was basically, the rifle was an M16. No, it was not. They were saying that it was automatic fire, and that's how the bear was stopped from a burst. Complete lie. Just incompetent people were just not informed. They didn't know about firearms. So on the video, it is recounted about 1900 to 2130 in the video. So the guy shot from the hip. He said he didn't even have time to bring it to his shoulder. Shot 7 or 8 times. If he would have brought it to his shoulder, the bear would have been on top of him. That's how fast the bear was running. So the bear was in good condition. It was not starving. He killed the bear, and I wish they would have said what type of ammo they had. I don't think it said that. So they found out it was a polar bear, And then they go on to say the 223 is more than capable than people realize, and one 223 round has more energy than most 44 Magnum rounds. And I would agree with that. So this should be all over the news because it's amazing. The mainstream media does not want us to know about this because they don't want us to have firearms, period, but they also don't want it to be known that a modern sporting rifle such as an AR or an AK is actually a great tool for hunters, survivalists, people trying to survive with large predators around out in the wild of Alaska or anywhere really. So that says something. Two experienced hunters, they chose the AR, and this article is a million times better than that FUD that did the Anchorage Daily News article that was basically against the Second Amendment. So can't stand that guy. And kudos to Dean Weingarten and these guys who saved their life and helped the village out with an AR. So let me know what you guys think. I've had a lot of fun doing these videos. I will have a 10mm video up in the morning testing some double tap hardcast. Thanks guys, it's Chuke, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuke. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10mm. Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you all die every time.